So Larry Goldberg is here. Larry, I am making the claim. You know me, I like to make claims. I am making a claim that last Wednesday, July 10th, was a crossroads. It was a major day. It changed everything. And a bunch of your and my friends on all these various podcasts over the weekend seem to feel that that was true. What are you thinking? Just off the top, you just told me on in the green room that you could go on for hours with what did you refer to it as BS? I don't remember exactly what you said.
I can be as the best. I mean, some of my strongly held opinions turn out to be wrong, as I discovered that that I've misunderstood or my source information is wrong. But I will say that I've used Grok 4 now for a couple of days. I love it. I mean, it is very, 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 very good. Now, I'll tell you what I don't love about it.
Hmm.
I'll start with what I don't love.
Okay. All right.
So at this point, Grok 4, and I haven't done Grok 4 heavy yet.
Mhm.
At this point, it is no more than a large model.
Mhm.
It has very little, if any, agency.
Okay.
So you can't tell it to go ahead and do a whole project using this tool, that tool, the other tool, and add tools in. So for me, I still am going to keep my Mana subscription,
Mhm. Mhm.
do my heavy, um, heavy, intelligent work of writing and analyzing and using Grok. But I'm going to use Manus to put my projects together, to assemble them, to illustrate them. Grok, you know, you you have to you have to do all of that manually with tools that you have to then subscribe to or use the open source, which is a pain in the butt because you have to, some of the open source tools you just have to use command lines and download it,
Right.
assemble it
Right.
yourself. That it drives me nuts. I just want a tool. I want to say, prepare, do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But having said that, I took a document that I had worked on for ages, which I wrote originally. It came to 90 pages. I got Manus to comb it down to 68 pages. I gave it to Grok and said, critique this. Came back with a long list of issues. I said, okay, see what you can do. you know
Mhm.
you and then I ticked off those things I thought that it got right, ticked off those things. Came back with a 36-page document, which was, I think, beautiful.
Wow.
I thought it was really, really beautiful. And when I asked it to create the slides, it said, You do it."
Yeah, here, I'll give you a description. The girl will be standing on the right and the boy will
Yeah.
be standing on the left, and we'll have in the
Well, fortunately, mine's all
yeah.
data based. So it did a really good job of preparing tables for me.
Mhm.
And then it said, and then use this and use that, and,
Right.
compare this with that and so on, which I can give to Manus to do, and it does a fairly good job of it. Manus, though, doesn't really prepare really nice slides. And for that matter, it doesn't really prepare slides in a very thoughtful way. It kind of repeats stuff and
Mhm.
doesn't really get a flow right and so on. It's not bad, but not great. And and we've experienced this with our Kathy summaries that every month it makes the typeset size very small. So if you want to increase it, you have to work like crazy on each slide, and that's exactly
But
the
you're trying to
opposite of
avoid.
what you're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
So yeah, so getting back to Grok,
Uh,
I find it extraordinarily lifelike.
Yeah.
I mean, I can communicate with it like I would an assistant. I would say a peer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's done some analysis that begged some of my analysis as being incorrect.
Yeah.
It it uh, it made some fallacious assumptions, which I pointed out to it and it corrected them.
Mhm.
It was like having a conversation with a very, very bright colleague who had much better references than I did,
Yeah.
and who would help me correct, some of my intuitions. I get a lot of intuitions and I get pretty hyperbolic about them, and then it corrects me. And so, on balance, it's like the ideal assistant for me.
Hmm. Hmm. So what I've found is that I now switch back and forth between Grok 3 and Grok 4. If
Really?
yes, if I'm doing deep research and I want it
Yeah.
to give me a long answer, then I use Grok 4. If I'm doing something fairly simple, like trying to remember, like this today, I wanted to remember what other city the Boring Company was going to has almost got a deal with, and
Yeah.
I didn't want a 15 pages on that. I wanted a paragraph, and
But you can tell Grok 4 to be
to
brief.
be brief. Okay, that's what maybe I
Yeah,
should.
it's as simple as that. Just give me a brief, give me a short paragraph on which
Mhm.
sentence. Don't give me the background and resources. Just tell it.
Sure, sure. Have you had a chance to use Grok Companion yet?
I don't know what Grok Companion is.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll let that go because I'm going to be talking about it with Brian White
Okay.
on the later show tonight. So
But what does it do? It just,
it's an actual animated character. So
uh,
instead of
so
talking to nothing,
it's a clippy.
yeah, you're talking to an animated character. And they so far have three animated characters for
I'll
each.
pass. I'll pass.
It's kind of fun. Anyway, let's see. So let's take it though and up a level. All right. So in terms of the impact on the world, in terms of the impact on Tesla itself, this is where
Oh
I,
man, I'd give anything to have Grok 4 in the car. I mean, anything, because, you know, I'm listening to a podcast. I question an assumption. I then want to look that up. I want to understand the context. I want to explore that. I want to, challenge that. I want to, and so, right now I'm listening to a really good book about Apple in China.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've heard of the book or
Oh.
read the book. It's an outstanding book, and it paints the picture of Apple being captured by China rather than Apple, doing well in China. Anyway, I mean, it's a very powerful book. Um, I probably should give the author's name, um, which I've forgotten. And actually, I'd heard him being interviewed on Barry Weiss's podcast.
Mhm.
And so I'm reading the book. I'm listening to the book in the car on my journey. I'm going off to South Carolina on Saturday. I'm going to Nashville next week. And so I do a lot of travel, as you know. I listen to a lot of my books on the road, but I do want to do the research at the time that I'm given the fact which I'm questioning and or which I want to drill deeper into. It would be so great for me to just, tell the book to pause, which is just very simple, and then say, "Hey, Grok, can you tell me why, blah, 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 blah."
Right. Right. Well, apparently Grok is in your car, or maybe not your car yet, but apparently it's rolling out. There's a new update, and you're
Yeah.
supposed to be able to. Some people at this point have Grok in their car, maybe not everybody.
As we talk,
Yes.
I'm looking at my app. I didn't look at my app today. I mean, I've been so carried away. No, 25. No, No update. No update for you.
No update. Okay. Well,
No soup for you. Shoot.
so at some
I
point,
do hope I get it before I go to Nashville.
that'd be great. I hope you do too. So then Tesla I'm sorry, Grok, from my standpoint, from thinking about it as a Tesla, I want to think about it as a Tesla tool. All right. We know Tesla is more advanced probably than any other company in the world in terms of how it operates its factories, in terms of how, with the employees that it has,
I agree with that.
of metallurgy, or in terms of electronics, or in terms of how it sets up the FSD, all the kinds of things that make it such a great leader. But it would seem to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it would seem to me that every one of those technologists, every one of those engineers, every one of those scientists that works for Tesla now can raise to the next level. They now have a tool that is the same as a professor of that subject matter.
I think that it's marginally improved on, say, people who have GPT-4 or GPT, whatever the latest GPT is. I mean, when you look at the actual results, Grok is better by, some margin. In some things, quite a lot of margin. But I would presuppose it to be, dramatically better. I do think, though, that, it's probable that Tesla will allow everybody to have it, but they'll have to pay for it. So it's an advantage. I wouldn't say it's a stunning advantage. Now, are they going to head towards a stunning advantage? It's quite possible.
Yeah. So if you are able to take the combination, well, Elon said that he asked it questions with regard to some of the material science questions. And he said these were material science questions that were not in any textbook, and yet it still gave him apparently good answers, or he wouldn't have talked about it, I don't suppose. So it would seem like there is some material advantage to being able to use something. Well, here's how I look at it, Larry. I look at it as no matter what subject I think I'm good at, let's say maybe I have a little better knowledge of the law than other people because I went to law school. But I go into this and it remembers the things I long ago forgot. Even if I'm a practicing lawyer, I've forgotten more than I remember. It not only remembers the things I've forgotten, but it's looking at case law that's more recent than maybe paying attention to. It's going deeper and broader and wider, and maybe it's seeing analogies or extrapolations that I'm not seeing or wouldn't have seen. So it would seem like because it's got the what do you call it? Elon likes to use the corpus. It has the corpus of all knowledge and is better than any single individual in every single subject. That would allow me to throw things at it that would come kind of like you were talking about with your health thing that you're working on. That would come back to me. I would say, oh, well, what about that? Oh, that's interesting. What about this and this and this? And that kind of analysis would eventually potentially get you way down the track from where you could get otherwise.
Yes. So let me illustrate what I'm talking about.
Okay.
My first research I did on the healthcare was done piecemeal with using quite a few utilities, including Grok 3, including Manus, including GPT-4.
Mm-hmm.
4.0. And I gathered facts from them, and then I used Manus to put some of those facts together, but I organized them and I sort of drew the conclusions. I threw the conclusions at Manus and so on and so on. What Grok 4 did that GPT did not do is it took my final output and said, hey, there's all of these things wrong with it from a factual point of view. There are these things wrong where it doesn't quite fit or where your argument doesn't merit inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
And have you thought about this?
Mm.
Which kind of lifted my game quite a lot and ended collapsing, what was originally a 90-page, then a 65-page down to 36-page. And since there's a table of contents and there's a references, an index,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a copyright page, so you're down to like 32 pages, 30 odd pages. I haven't got the index on it. The index adds a lot. And so anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that Grok was able to lift my game.
Yeah.
But those other tools certainly gave me the basic tools that I needed for research and were able to call much of the same, or all of the same facts for actually, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's incremental improvement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not a dramatic improvement. Now, I think that there are some professions for which it may be a dramatic improvement. I don't happen to, practice them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Time will tell. But it's definitely, we're reaching a point where I think what Grok 4 is missing is agency. It needs to be a lot more agentic, and those are kind of the tools that have to be overlaid. And so for me, that would be very helpful. And for anybody in a commercial environment. Now, somebody in a scientific environment, maybe not. Maybe it's fine.
Well, and Grok 4 Heavy, that's the thing, I think that's the main thing, right? Is the 4 to 5 agents that will go out and act as agents for you, pull in the data that you're asking them to pull in, and then bring that back and actually correlate.
I'm going to test that. So I'll subscribe to Grok 4 Heavy for a couple of months and see if the agents are really more than coding agents or scientific agents. See, for me, coding agents and scientific agents are not that helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I do some coding, and it'd be nice to have a coding agent. I do already have a coding agent. For me, the sort of office,
Right.
drudgery work, the artwork, the prep work, the analytical work it does very well. It's the drudge work, it's the office work it doesn't yet do.
Yeah, and Elon said in the video that they were going to be adding tools.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it's the agency you're missing or is it the tools you're missing, or maybe.
Well, agency is supplied by tools. It's not something that you add on as a single thing. You add it, tool by tool, and then you add some intelligence to acquire the tool and learn the tool and work the tool. So there are probably a couple of levels. Like, I've got so many sources of messages coming in. I've got every frigging message tool in the bloody world. People message me on LinkedIn, people message me on X, people message me on my telephone number, people message me on WhatsApp, people message me on Telegram. And I can never remember who messages me on which tool. And I'm not even counting some of the other tools.
Yes, right.
I just want one tool that accumulates all those messages, that keeps people's, preferred message. And I haven't included my 4 or 5 email addresses.
Right.
across 2 different or 3 different email tools now. Actually, I've got it down to 2. So, I'm an old man. I can't remember who's what. I can't even remember people's names, to be honest. So if I had one tool that would arbitrate all those messages, sort out the important ones, put them at the top. It doesn't have to have an inbox.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Doesn't have to have an inbox. Just list them. I click on them and it'll open that particular box and open it, and I can respond on their preferred thing. So I thought I thought I'd make that tool quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
But that'll be my next task. Maybe somebody listening to this will say, "Hey, I've got that tool already."
Maybe
In
not.
which case,
Yeah, maybe so. Let us know in the comments. So Tesla or Elon today has been very, very active.
yeah, I haven't followed. I haven't been busy. I haven't been
But
on X.
but one of the things he's been talking about today has been the Tesla investment in xAI. He has said that he'll put forth a investment proposal, and I'm assuming on November 6th. He never said that specifically, but I'm pretty sure that's what he meant.
No, I don't know that it's what he meant. He could have meant.
Someday.
Excuse me. No, he could have meant he'll submit it to the board of directors. And whether it'll get in time for September, I don't know. But maybe he did mean he'll submit it. I mean, I don't know what the timing is. Tesla Boomer Mama can tell us, and she's probably told us when
Proposals have to be ready.
have to be in. Yeah, it'd be interesting to ask. But I registered a negative approach to that because I considered that Tesla is not really in the business of VC investment, where they don't actually build the structure themselves. But having said that, when I did look at the numbers, I thought, a relatively small investment by Tesla of a couple of $2 billion in terms of stock issuance would not be too difficult for them to do, but nowhere near, 10% or 20%.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think the general feeling out there might be if it's not going to be a full merger, it seems to be that the $5 billion number seems to be the one that everybody's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. 5 billion is, I think, the top level that I would think about. Yeah. But that's only going to get at best 5%, between 2 and 5%
Right.
of xAI. And that's something that I could probably live with. I was very opposed to it because I thought people were talking about larger numbers, and I probably should have given it thought. And the other issue, I looked at maybe using the Elon's pay package as a way to do it. But the numbers, to get a reasonable proportion of Tesla requires so much money compared to xAI that
right.
Nothing works. I thought perhaps we could issue Tesla stock for xAI.
Yes.
Stock, and that would move the needle. Doesn't
move the needle.
Doesn't move the needle. Yeah.
The other big news, of course, was that as Elon said, the Robotaxi geofence was expanded.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was expanded in a humorous way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen Mark Ryan, for the suggestion. And but do you feel like the expansion is kind of along the lines of what you might have hoped for in terms of the speed?
Yeah. I was looking for expansion onto the freeway, and we got that, and that was very important. Look, right now they've expanded on the freeway long before Waymo have.
Yeah, well, I'm not expecting Waymo to expand on the freeway anytime soon.
I think they have in LA, haven't they?
I thought I heard that they might have.
Let's ask Grok. Let's ask Grok.
Let's Grok if Waymo has expanded to the freeways. Yeah. So the next step would be, of course, maybe more expansion in Austin. And apparently there are some of those vehicles that they have for going out and doing the a quick once over before they expand that are many miles south of Austin.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll see a steady increase in the geofence and then it getting quicker and quicker and then, break out.
And Waymo, I'm sorry, Grok doesn't have an answer yet.
It's checking.
Um, all right. So, and what do you
Testing with employees is happening in LA.
with employees? Okay. All right.
Yeah. So this will be the first service of customers, real customers, on the freeways. Now, there's a safety driver, and one assumes there will be a safety driver in LA.
Right. What do you have any feelings after 3 weeks of virtually nothing going wrong? How long we'll be looking at a safety rider in the vehicle?
I think for a while. I think for a while. I think they're playing it very safe. What do I mean by a while? Somewhere between 3 and 6 months.
Okay. Now, if we're talking 3 or 6 months, between 3 and 6 months, we're supposed to be in 3 or 4 cities.
Yeah, we could be in 3 or 4 cities with safety riders. I think every city that they start in, they'll start with safety riders until they reach a point where they can, just expand without having to go through the whole. Now they are mapping with LiDAR, ground truthing with LiDAR, not mapping, ground truthing with LiDAR before they open a area, a geography or an area, and I don't know how long that goes on for until they can drop that. We don't have any sight of any of these parameters.
Right.
But knowing Tesla, the faster they move forward, the faster they will be able to accelerate beyond each step. So I think each step is going to get shorter until they make some of the steps redundant, and then eventually we'll go global.
So there's another subject that people keep bringing up, and I know it's kind of even though it's kind of a boring subject, it's about the battery supply. And we're expanding, we're setting up that new mega factory down in Texas. And yet there's just it's hard to imagine where they're going to get all of the batteries for all of those, because that new battery line in Reno is only 10 gigawatts. These factories put out 40. So that's only 1/4 of one factory. I asked Jordan, who's of course our battery expert in the community, and Jordan said that he thinks they're still going to be relying on China for a while.
I believe that that's true. I don't see how we get around that. I mean, Jordan has spoken about lithium iron phosphate in 4680 packs. I don't know how that resolves, and I don't know what the limits are and what the physics are of that. So time will tell. I mean, it's a fraught subject, definitely is, and they wouldn't have started
that plant
building that factory without some understanding of what their supplies are. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what their supplies are.
One of the other things that did come out of that conversation with Jordan 𝐑𝐚𝐬𝐲 was that potentially there's other countries, and I thought he might have been thinking of South Korea or Japan, which might be able to supply some of it.
Well, South Korea or Japan, to my understanding, have not yet shipped lithium iron phosphate batteries. Whether they now can, now that the licenses have expired, I don't know. And then the question is how much work they've done with it. We don't have any visibility at all, and they're not sharing.
Yeah,
So
definitely not.
what did Jordan think?
He thought they'd be using China for a while, and that he didn't have an answer. He didn't have a solution.
Okay.
Yep. So again, you are, I'm sure, 100% right that Tesla has a plan. But he was quoting some of the executives from that area who he, I guess, had either made statements on X or possibly communicated with him. And they were saying, yeah, we do have a plan, although the issue for the Megapacks is a bigger issue than it is for the cars. The cars are fine, but the Megapacks are a little trickier, I think was one of the quotes, a little trickier. So we'll see. We'll see how all that works out. And then what about next week, Larry? Oh shoot. We are only time just flies so fast. We're 9 days away from the earnings call. Is there anything that's like top of list for you that you're like hoping is something that we learn? Maybe it's not the most obvious thing. Maybe it's something that's more in your
Well, the delivery schedule for the less expensive car, the delivery schedule for Cybercab, and the rollout of the, robotaxis. Those are the key, I think, announcements everybody's looking for. But I want to know about batteries. I want to know what they see in terms of megawatt hours, gigawatt hours they're going to be delivering in forthcoming quarters, and that would be very helpful. Very helpful. I think the battery issue that you just raised would be really nice to hear about. Very nice to hear about. And then I think the Optimus production, we have all these rumors about stopping production, blah, blah, blah. I want to hear something from Elon
right.
about where we are. So it's the usual suspects, Randy. I'm not saying anything that every single one of our retail shareholders are not listening for. Do I have anything nobody else is listening for? Really, I think we're all disappointed with where we are in the Cybertruck launch and the volumes. They're nothing like what we imagined. And the question is it price? What are the problems? What do they see? Can they talk to that? That would be helpful to us.
Mm-hmm.
But, at the end of the day, it's Robotaxi and it's Optimus that we're looking towards. And so those are the key ingredients of what we're hoping to hear about.
So I know that we last spoke last Tuesday, and I don't remember whether we had the conversation about a solar gigafactory, but Elon has said that he's thinking about a solar gigafactory.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about a solar gigafactory? You in favor? Are you against? Let's make the assumption that he wouldn't do it unless there was a profit. That he would be able to see a profit from it.
Elon Musk will not build a solar factory unless he sees a path to the production of a quality and price of a solar cell that will compete with China.
Right.
He's been there before. He's been burnt on it before. He understands the necessity. I don't know that he has to be cheaper. I don't know that he has to be much better, but he has to be competitive. He won't do it unless he can be competitive. And I don't think he's just going to rely upon tariffs to be competitive.
Right.
Just given where he is politically. So I think that's what he's ruminating about. And I don't have the knowledge that would, gainsay that. Now, there is immense amount of technology that goes into, these solar cells, and there's immense amount of manufacturing methodology. I've just finished reading this, just finishing the last few pages on this book that was written about Apple in China.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole story about Apple in China is not cheap labor anymore. The whole story about Apple in China is that the quality of labor and the quality of manufacturing is now the best in the world. And that you cannot manufacture anywhere else competitively with China because they have so many high quality manufacturing skilled people at very high levels of skill, both in terms of people on the lines themselves, but also in designing the equipment that makes the lines and designing the equipment that makes the equipment that makes the lines. So, and we've learned that from the Tesla China factory. So when Elon is thinking about making solar cells, he's thinking about China Inc. Making solar cells and all that they do to make it. So he has to, do a kind of Falcon 9. He has to find a way, a method, a chemistry, a manufacturing method, some solution to competing with China, who are today making the highest efficiency solar cells at the lowest price. So yeah, I mean, it's more than possible he will open a solar factory. It's more than possible he will build one. Whether he builds it within Tesla is highly doubtful because of all the legacy problems, unless we solve all of those. So I shouldn't say it's highly doubtful. It's doubtful unless we can solve all the Elon Musk comfort problems, overcoming this cry about governance, overcoming all the negativity. But anyway, the point is, I think that he'll give it a lot of thought before he jumps into it.
I don't know.
My own summary is he probably will not.
Okay, all right. I don't know whether you heard it today, but Grok or XAI has received a $200 million contract from the U.S. government for Grok type services. I guess these would be enterprise type services. It didn't go into detail.
That's a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Part of it was for the Defense Department, and part of it was yes, part of it was not for the Defense Department. So I'm not sure. Again, the article.
Did they say the agency that had
Defense was one, but it didn't give the other. It just said part of it was for defense, or maybe half of it or something was for defense.
I like that. I like that. It's very comforting to know that the U.S. government is still contracting.
Yes, with Elon in particular. That is comforting. But it was also interesting in that they are giving him that contract for an enterprise version of the Grok product because they had mentioned in that video the other night that their enterprise sales force is in business and has been for a couple of months. So they're out talking.
I missed a good day.
Yeah, they're talking to businesses and apparently to the government about enterprise use.
So Randy, they may be 2 years late, but we may have been 2 years early. But they're finally entering India, as we foretold.
That's right. How long ago did we do that in-depth video?
I think it has to be 2 years ago. But I'm excited. I think it's a huge moment, as Dan Ives said.
Yeah. So would you expect that they'll build something more than just retail? They have to, right? They have to build a $500,000 building or something in order to keep their license?
I think they will build a very significant number of sales and service centers in, the major cities. And the 10 major cities. I think they're going to sell 20,000 cars in each of the major cities, 200,000 cars. People think I'm crazy saying that, but I do believe they will, and that's going to be a lot. I think it's probably enough to actually assemble cars there, maybe enough. But I think it's a great growth opportunity. I think people underestimate the Indian market because, they buy three-wheelers and they buy $10,000 cars, but there's a lot of money in India, and Tesla has got such an incredible name in India.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh. All right.
I think it's a mini China.
Okay. All right. On the economy in general, Westbury has this. He says the first 5 months of the Trump presidency, total deficit 498 billion. The same 5 months last year in the Biden presidency, deficit was 741 billion. A dramatic $243 billion decrease off of a 741 starting place. That's
Yeah, everybody was decrying the numbers, the surplus that they made last month because April is because April is the month everybody pays their tax, and so there's normally actually a very small surplus or a very small deficit. But if you look at the first 5 months of the year and you say that there's this reduction in deficit, that's a very, very meaningful number, a very meaningful number. So it's quite exciting.
very exciting. Well, I mean, that kind of a difference already would come up to about 700 billion for the year. That's not a trillion, but if it continues at even this level.
As opposed to an almost $500 billion increased deficit forecast by the what's it, Congressional Budget Office, CBO.
Right.
So that's a big swing. If it happens, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Sure. We have to watch it month by month. We get the CPI in the morning.
Yes, we do.
And so I've done a lot of research on this. I've looked at Truflation. Truflation's estimate is that it will be up 0.1% from 2.4 to 2.5 year over year. The consensus is it'll go up 0.2% from 2.4 to 2.6. And
What is Randy Kirk's estimate?
I am going to go with the bottom number. I'm going to go no change.
Yeah.
On the headline number, no change. Apparently, we have a difficult month to as a comparative. So that's one of the reasons they think it's going to go up, is because last year, apparently June was a good month, if you will.
What is the betting on Chairman Powell staying in that job? How does that look now?
Well, they are trying to hang him with his $2.7 billion building renovation. And apparently it's 700 million, Larry, over the
estimate.
The estimate, yeah. And one report that I saw said that the 700 million was more than other departments have spent to completely renovate their buildings. So the 200 billion would have already been like 3 times what other people have spent, and now they have a $700 billion overrun. So it sounds like they're trying to hang him on that. Powell today ordered an audit of that activity. Larry, Trump calls him too late. Is this another estimate, another example of too late?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Powell gone. I would like there not to be Trump, fighting in the courts about it. I'd like to see him go of his own volition. And if they can hang him on this building thing, it's kind of I don't know. Yeah.
All right. The other thing that's been hitting me over the last couple of days is we now have, of course, Bitcoin at crazy numbers.
I love it. I love it.
I bet you do.
Kathy was right on, hey?
She's right on that one. She's got it right. I'm just curious to see where it is tonight. Let's see here. It is sitting at up another only 981 today, so it was higher. It has had a little bit of profit taking, but it's only at 120.
What's gold at?
Gold, just a second. Gold is down a little bit, down $6,
Ah,
33.52. But silver hit all-time highs. Copper is at all-time highs, but that's because of that tariff. Bitcoin at all-time highs. Equities at all-time highs. NASDAQ hit another all-time high today. Now part of that is the dollar being lower. But
how much did the dollar go down?
the dollar since the first of the year, I think, is down 11% against the basket of major currencies, not the basket of all currencies, the basket of major currencies. So some of that increase is going to be because the dollar is weak comparatively. But in general, it's kind of interesting to see all of these things at all-time highs. And we're now just starting earnings. Starts tomorrow morning with the banks.
Okay. I think the banks are going to will show very well tomorrow.
Yeah, they're getting more mergers and acquisition business and more opportunities for new offerings. So that should be their guidance should be good. I don't know, no idea on the
I
profits.
think their trading profits should be good.
Should be, yeah. Yeah, in fact, I heard that. I think I read that, Larry. I think that's right. So if we get off to a good earnings call with some of the banks, Tom Lee says he thinks the S&P will be at about 7,000 by the end of the year, but we're already at 6,250.
Well, that's a good 10, 12%. Yeah, you guys, you drive me crazy. A 10% increase in 6 months is like 20% a year.
I know.
What do you expect? I mean, oh, it's only 10% between now and it's already 62. I mean, come on, guys. It should be saying, whoa, another 10% on top of where we are. Holy moly. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it is true because we would have 3 years in a row of 20% increases.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Although that has happened before, in the 1990s, we had
Yes, it has.
quite a
But that's because of the market was so bad.
right.
No, actually, 1990s.
No, so up, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's see what else, Larry. The bonds, of course, are still not helping. The bonds were up again today. It's just driving me crazy. 1 full basis point today, 4.437. So
bonds are not going to ameliorate until this man goes, this crazy Federal Reserve chairman we've got.
I think we'll see a little lightening of that interest rate if the CPI comes in tomorrow in good shape.
Maybe.
I don't know what good shape is, though. That's the thing, the problem. Let's say if it's flat, I'm pretty sure yields will come down. If it's up a 0.1, maybe. If it's up 0.2, probably not. I don't know. We'll see. Although the consensus is that it goes up 0.2. So not clear. Oil is $66.95. So not as great as I'd like to see it, but not a bad price at all. Natural gas, similar, very good shape. Down 0.35 in the pre-market. What about the equities? The equities, down, down, down. So we got the Dow down 0.14, the S&P also down 0.14, and the NASDAQ down 0.13. So all three of them down a little bit, giving us some kind of maybe illumination into tomorrow. Oh, and Tesla in the after hour, the pre-market down 0.25 after being up a full 1.8% during the day. So just kind of hanging in there until that. I think everybody's hanging in there until the CPI.
Not yet at your 440 or 48. What were you? 448 or something.
Oh, 488.
488.
488. Yeah, last Monday. Yeah, last Monday.
Oops.
Oops. There's still time. Well, no, there's not still time for me to be right. There's still time for me to be right in concept. The concept is that at some point there will be a recognition that Robotaxi is real and that it will be fully recognized in the stock price.
A lot depends on Elon's political moves between now and, the election of next November, because some of that could hold back the stock.
Right. Yes, there's no doubt that part of the holdback is going to be Elon's politics. I couldn't agree more.
Right.
Okay,
All
sir.
right.
I thank you so much for coming on tonight, and we will hopefully, if the creek don't rise, see you on Friday. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.